Welcome to Keeping It Real. I am your host, Deanna Lynn, grounding all things spiritual into the raw humanness of who we are. Do you notice that people take their life and their ascension journey way too seriously? Yep, that was me. In this podcast, I'll be diving into how to stay grounded on your ascension journey and stop taking things so damn seriously. This podcast is all about getting raw, vulnerable, authentic, and human. I've found that the more real, authentic, and shameless we are on our journey, it helps others connect with us and heal massively on super deep levels. Are you ready to have some fun and go on this journey of keeping it real? Welcome to my first official podcast episode in Keeping It Real. I am your host, Deanna Lynn. In this episode, I dive in deeper to shame and how to heal it through humility. I share with you the 3 stages that I have learned on my own personal journey to transcend shame. I hope this empowers you to let the shame out of your physical body so it can be transcended. Okay. Now let's get raw and real. When people talk about their life experiences, their struggles, their humanness, it is so healing. It's healing for the person who's speaking it, and it's healing for the people who are listening to it. Because when we can step into a space and actually share what we're experiencing in our lives, we're releasing the shame, because when we feel shameful about something, we don't want to speak it because we're showing that we're not perfect. We're showing that, we hold something that is wrong within us. And it's so healing for the other person too when you share it, because they're like, oh, that person's experiencing it too? I can't believe that. Like, I had no idea. And well, that doesn't actually make me feel so bad or wrong or shameful, because they're experiencing it as well. And it's so interesting. I've tried to record this a few times, and I keep stopping myself because it hasn't been perfect. And it's just so ironic with the subject that I'm talking about. And I'm trying to step into this space where I'm being perfect, saying the right things. But we're not perfect. And if I make this sound perfect, nobody's going to relate with it, right? So on this journey, I've really discovered so much amazingness and truth in being human and being real. I've tried to step into this space of not being real and not sharing fully what I'm experiencing from one aspect, because people will sometimes actually shame you when you're sharing the raw humanness of who you are, because it actually makes them feel uncomfortable. And that's happened to me a few times. It's like, well, why are you airing your dirty laundry for the world to see? Like, you should just keep that stuff within you. And a level of me was like, oh, maybe I should. I shouldn't share my shame with the world. But that didn't actually sit well with me. And it didn't sit well with me because I know that I am here to help people heal their shame, heal their fears. And the only way for me to be able to help other people is for me to actually step into that space and work through that as well. And so I see this healing process, healing the shame through humility, healing the shame through being human and allowing yourself to be human, from 3 different spaces. So the first space is, first of all, we need to stop ignoring the shame that we feel within our body so we can actually release it. Because when we're not even admitting to ourselves that these are the thoughts that we have about ourselves, it's really creating a lot of like fear and anxiety in our life because we're trying to be perfect all of the time. And your body can't heal in that state. And when you get stuck in that space of trying to be perfect and not sharing what you're experiencing, you're just living in this loop of shame. And so that's the first step, is just acknowledging, okay, these are the thoughts that I'm having about myself, whether they be conscious or unconscious. Those unconscious things are going to come up over time for you and be like, wow, okay. And this is actually the really great part when other people share these things, because once you realize that you have these shameful thoughts about yourself and you think that there's something to fix in you, you think that you're wrong or you're bad. And if someone shares a story that resonates with you and how you're feeling, you feel less shame. You feel less shame about your shame. So it helps pull you out of that shame loop to accept that, wow, okay, cool. Like, I'm human. Other people experience this. Amazing. That is the first step of healing right there. All humans experience it. Okay, cool. I'm human. And then I see the next space is stepping into, now, can you see that you are experiencing this to help you on your journey, to help you evolve, to help you raise your vibration, to learn lessons? So you've accepted that this is what you're experiencing in your life and this is what you're thinking. But now can you accept the fact that you're experiencing this to help you evolve? And then this will allow you to step into a space to actually be able to share that from a space of authenticity, a space of vulnerability and empowerment. And when we can step into that space, the healing really, really, really happens. Because now you're stepping into this space of sharing your humanness and allowing yourself to be completely unfiltered and be your true authentic self. And then what happens is, okay, so you're sharing it from this space. And we can get stuck in this space that we keep sharing the same story over and over and over again. And if you know anything about manifestation, that we speak things into our reality. So our thoughts create things. And then also we speak it. We're saying like we want to recreate this. So if you keep sharing the same story over and over and over again, you're actually still tying yourself to it and you're recreating it. And that was actually something that happened to me with my previous experience, which actually really began my awakening journey, is I kept sharing the story over and over again. And I was recreating it. So I was sharing it from an empowered space because I understood that I was experiencing this for a reason. Because this was actually driving me towards my life purpose of helping people heal. But then I kept sharing the story over and over again, and then I kept re-experiencing like the symptoms and everything that went along with it. And I was keeping myself in a loop. So then it's stepping into a space of being like, okay, can I release the label of this, of what I was experiencing? And then just take the wisdom that I actually learned from that. So I want to talk about labels for a second. What is a label? So a label is something that you put on yourself and say, I am this. Because you've experienced something or because society says you're that. Like, for instance, I am female. I am a daughter. I am a sister. Well, those are all good examples of labels that we all have. But then we go and tie ourselves to other labels based on the things that we've experienced in our life. And usually they're tied to our shame. And when we attach ourselves to those labels, it keeps us in that story and it keeps us recreating them. And that's what I did in this case, is I kept recreating it because I attached myself to this label, right? And until we can release the emotions that are attached to this label, the things that we're receiving from it, because if you're still attached to it, there's a reason why. There's something that you're getting from it. But until we can release that, we are owned by our labels. And transcending them is when we have healed all the aspects of ourselves that are actually attached to it. When we no longer need to actually identify by it and with it. When we no longer need to tell people that's who we are. That's when we really step into that empowered state. So part of this healing journey is the process of being able to actually share the story from an empowered space so that you can release it. And that's about when you're no longer identifying with it, you can share it from an empowered space. When you no longer need to share that story to connect with other people on a certain level to receive something that you're not giving yourself, then you've transcended it. And then you can begin to actually share it from a space of wisdom. But we first have to fully let this experience in and feel it, all the emotions, everything that we've learned from it, and become fully grounded in like, yes, I actually experienced it. Because when we don't do that, we're actually suppressing it. We need to share it to release the emotions attached to it, because the emotions, energy and motion, is what is actually keeping us attached to that timeline, is keeping us attached to that identity, keeping us attached to that label. And I really feel like it's so important for us to be real and honest about these things, about the aspects that make us fully human, so that people can relate to us. Because when you're not sharing this, it's like people put you on a pedestal and they think that you're perfect. And then they strive to be perfect like you. And then also you feed into this like, oh, these people think I'm perfect, so I can't fall off that pedestal. Because if I do, there's something wrong with me. And then we're back into that shame loop. But in reality, the journey is about loving who you are right here and right now. And that there's absolutely nothing to shift. There's absolutely nothing to change inside of you. So that brings me to the next stage, which is sharing it from an empowered space, sharing the wisdom of it. So you don't have to share the story of your experience, but I believe that you can't deny it as well. You can't go and try to step beyond it. Like, it is something that you experienced, and I think it's very important for people to understand what you went through, that it wasn't just like one day you woke up and then you were somewhere else. Well, that's called quantum jumping, right? And it takes a lot of empowerment to be able to step into that space. That takes fully releasing everything that is attached to that label, that story, that timeline, for you to actually jump somewhere else. I've heard one of the teachers that I follow, Feel Good, he talks about spiritual bypassing. And so spiritual bypassing would be, okay, I'm sitting in this story of shame, but I actually want to just jump from this shame to the happy ending, to the high vibration. But I'm actually not willing to release all the things that are attached to it. And that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, you need to feel it to heal it. We need to release those emotions. We need to release the things that we're holding on to in that label or in that experience that are serving us. And what I think makes a very, very powerful teacher and coach and mentor is somebody that can either, one, totally own up to the things that they feel shameful for and be like, yep, that's right, I'm human, and they can just laugh about it. So you can relate to them and not hide those things because they're like, well, if people know this about me, they're not going to want to work with me and they're not going to think I'm going to be able to help them. Well, that's stepping into this space of like spiritual shaming is the way I see it. You're shaming your humanness, your raw, authentic being, who you are unfiltered, because you don't want other people to see it, because they're going to think that you're not good enough and they're not going to want to work with you. Well, guess what? People would rather work with somebody who shared all their raw truths. And then so the last space is sharing the wisdom. So you've gone through okay, I've totally owned this experience. I'm fully grounded in this experience. I've learned all the things that I need to learn from it. So now I'm just sharing the lessons. I'm not denying I experienced it. If anybody wants to ask me about it, I'm going to do that. But you no longer need to share the details of the story to connect with people, to receive validation or love or whatever those things are. You can just share the wisdom to help people. And from that space, you're actually creating this amazing container for other people to heal in. And that's what I am creating. I am creating this space to help empower people through using humility to have them face their fears and to fully get grounded in this physical reality by keeping it real and being as human as possible. We are here to be human. We chose this experience. So stop trying not to be human, right? Share what's making you human. Because when we try not to be human, then we're shaming being human, right? Like, it goes so friggin' deep. So really, just be who you are unapologetically, right? Get out of this space of caring what anybody thinks about you. Get out of the space of trying to be perfect. And just be yourself. That's what this journey is all about. Because this journey is about stepping into a place of purely loving and accepting yourself. It's about coming back home in your physical body. That is your home. And if you don't feel safe in your physical body because you're forever shaming yourself and not accepting yourself and not allowing that true authentic self to come out and really grounding in your humanness, then you're not safe. Like, you're going to be living in a space of fear and anxiety all the time. And I've experienced that, and I can, tell you this from my own personal experience. I'm sharing this wisdom with you that it's like I was in a space where I didn't feel safe in my physical body. And so when you step in that space, then you start getting these attachments to people and becoming dependent on them because you don't feel safe in your body. And then what happens is because you don't feel safe in your body, well, now you're a magnet for things that are going to make you feel unsafe. You're going to attract more and more and more to recreate this because the universe is trying to get you to go within and feel safe within your physical body and not need anything in your external reality to make you feel safe. Like, obviously, we need things to survive, but there's a difference between knowing that you need something to survive, but then fully needing it because you're not feeling safe in your physical body. That is the low vibration. And it sets you in this space of survival mode all of the time. And that's going to keep you in that shame. So it's a matter of stepping out of that space of survival mode and knowing that you can take care of yourself, that you are safe in your physical body, and knowing that all your needs will be met to help you transcend that shame. So thanks so much. And sorry if you heard my dog snoring in the background. He kind of was just at the very end there. So thanks for allowing me to share this, wisdom that I've learned on my journey with you and, help you step into a space of sharing your shame, accepting your shame, transcending your shame, becoming empowered and learning the amazing life lessons from it. Thank you so much for tuning in to my first official podcast episode. I never know how to end the episode, and sometimes you may notice that I'll say the same thing over and over again. Apparently, I like to talk, and you know what? This is actually a new thing for me because I used to suppress my voice in the past, so this is very healing and super awkward. So if you found the content entertaining, helpful, or healing, please hit the subscribe button to be notified of future episodes. I also would be grateful for you to rate and review the podcast to get it out to more people so that we can transcend that shame together for the collective. And if you are interested in a healing or a coaching session to help you release the attachments or the labels that are keeping you trapped, please visit my website, deannalynn.ca, and feel free to follow my other social media platforms. The links will be in the comments. I'll see you in the next episode.